Ave María Purísima, por la señal de la Santa Cruz de nuestros enemigos, líbranos Señor Dios nuestro. En el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Amén.
Welcome to the first episode of Simply Belize, a cultural diary. Hi, I'm your host Curtis Gillett, and today we will look at some of the customs and history of the Yucatec Mayas of the North, or as they are called today, Maya Mestizos. But before we begin, let me explain what Simply Belize is all about. Belize is not a typical Caribbean country, nor is it a typical Central American country. We live in a country of contrasts, where mestizos play the African marimba and Creoles eat corn on a regular basis. Are all Belizeans black as their Central American neighbors expect? Or are they all Hispanic as their Caribbean counterparts suspect? Who are Belizeans, and where did we come from? Simply Belize, a cultural diary, will offer 13 answers to this often asked question. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. It's November 2nd, All Souls Day in the northern village of Shaibet. The villagers have been up before the break of dawn preparing a special meal. Only this meal is not for the living, it is for their dead, their ancestors. The chimole is made fresh that morning with homegrown chickens and spicy black Ricardo. This delicious black soup is accompanied by handmade corn tortillas. To drink, there is maja blanca, lots and lots of it. But maja blanca is not your typical rice lab. This is the good stuff that requires much hard work. Rice grains are ground in a hand mill and then ground again for a creamier texture, strained with water to get rice milk, and then boiled in an outside kitchen over a fire hearth. After the milk has been cooked, sweetened condensed milk is added to taste. At the moment of serving, ground cinnamon is added on top as a special treat. Meanwhile, a temporary altar is being set up in the village cemetery. At a predetermined time, the villagers gather to say a rosary and offer prayers on behalf of their dead ancestors.
De nuestros enemigos, líbranos Señor Dios nuestro. En el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Amén.
The prayers are a plea to God to forgive the deceased for any sins they did not confess before their death. It is supposed that these sins may be keeping back the souls of their ancestors from entering the kingdom of heaven. After the rosary has been said, the food is shared amongst the school children and villagers and eaten right there in the cemetery. The end. Right? Wrong. You've just witnessed day 2 in a 9-day novena. Maya Mestizos believe that the spirit of a new dead roams the earth for 9 days before it departs to either purgatory, heaven, or hell. It is possible, though, that if the living offers prayers to God for the dead, unconfessed sins may be forgiven, thus allowing the dead souls easier access into heaven. Day 3 is very crucial, because up until then, the dead does not know that he or she is dead.
Cuando nosotros nos muéramos, no estamos muertos, solo estamos durmiendo, solo tenemos cerrado el ojo. Entonces, cuando nos llaman a los 3 días, cuando nos hacen el rosario, nos llaman los 3 días, nosotros es cuando vamos a llorar, vamos a pegar un llanto, nos vamos a sentar y vamos a llorar porque ya vamos a darnos cuenta que nos llamaron los nombres, que nosotros ya dejamos el mundo donde estamos con otras gentes.
A rosary is said every day for 9 days, but making large quantities of food for the dead for 9 days can become very expensive. So most families will say their rosary and make offerings in private until the last day. On this day, large groups gathered together preparing to make special colado tamales by the hundreds.
Day 8 starts early. The men prepare the pib while the women work on the chickens. 60 live chickens are killed, plucked, and cleaned, then cooked in large cauldrons over an open fire. Plantain leaves to wrap the tamales have to be cut and cleaned, and there is plenty of corn to grind. There is corn everywhere. Corn for the masa tamales are boiled with cal until soft, then it is ground up to be used as masa. The corn used in the colado tamales, however, is very hard as it is not cooked beforehand. New corn mills have been bought for the occasion. It is the men mostly who take on this difficult task of grinding the crude corn twice. It will be another 4 hours before this corn is ready to be strained and the resulting corn milk is boiled down in huge pots that sit on open fires all around the yard. It is from this milk, the pure essence of the corn, that the masa for colado tamales are made. While the men take turns stirring the huge pots, the women use the rich red gravy from the chicken to make the filling for the tamales, the col. Shortly before midnight, the masa is declared ready and the wrapping of the tamales begins. No one knows for sure how much tamales will be made tonight. They only know it will be in the hundreds. 3 hours later, the fire in the pib is lit. Tiredness is creeping in. While the women continue wrapping tamales, the men break the hot stones so that the heat in the pib will be evenly distributed. Finally, the tamales arrive. Small ones for the children, large ones for families, and enormous ones called solos. Rather than throw away the chicken foot and entrails, these go into the tamales that are set aside for the poor souls who have no one to pray and make offerings for their release from purgatory. It is a curious spin on generosity, but a gesture nonetheless for the lonely, forgotten souls. All the tamales are on the pib now. They are covered first with guano leaves, and then buried with earth. Then it's 2 more hours of waiting. The sun is now up, but no one has really slept. It is time to retrieve the tamales from the pib. The earth is cleared away, the guano leaves removed, and hundreds of delicious-smelling hot tamales are revealed. In no time, they are bundled in front of a beautifully decorated altar in the front yard, and the final rosary begins. The gates are left open, signaling to passers-by that they too are welcome to offer their prayers and partake in the feast. No one can be turned away or refuse food on this occasion. The Mala Noche has passed, and the work of the villagers of Shabe to save the souls of the dead this year is done.
Honoring the dead is a tradition that has always been practiced by indigenous peoples all over the world. The use of the rosary in this case shows the influence of the Roman Catholic faith brought to the New World by the Spaniards. Celebrating the Days of the Dead is a tradition brought to Shabe by the Maya Mestizos who originally lived in Yucatan, Mexico. During the bloody and violent Cast War of Yucatan, many were forced to flee south to Belize for freedom, bringing with them individual tales of horror. The Maya